There comes a moment when you're just done, just exhausted from always feeling behind. I hit that moment with my money, and that's when I decided I wasn't gonna live like that anymore. This video is the 30-day system I use to take control back, and it's what's changed everything. And listen, I wanna be clear about what I mean when I say I refuse to be poor, because that phrase can get misunderstood. I'm not talking about flexing. I'm talking about a certain income number. I'm talking about refusing to live in financial chaos. Refusing to feel like money is always one step ahead of you. Refusing to wake up, work hard, do the responsible things, and still feel like one surprise can knock you over. That kind of poor is not about dollars. It's about stability. It's about safety. It's about the way money shows up in your daily life and takes up space in your head. For a long time, my financial life looked fine in fragments. I paid my bills, I earned money, I was responsible, but money never felt quiet. It lived in my head. It followed me around. I checked my bank app and I'd feel a little relief, and then 2 hours later, I'd check again. I'd plan to be disciplined, and then life would happen and the plan would break. And every time it broke, it came with a little shame, like I had proven something negative about myself. And what I learned is that most people who feel out of control don't have an intelligence problem. They don't have a discipline problem. They have a system problem. Their money is not designed to feel safe, so their nervous system stays on guard. So here's what I did. I gave myself 30 days and I focused on 3 phases: visibility, containment, and automation. That's it. Not 20 different tactics, not a perfect budget. 3 phases that built predictability. The goal of this reset is not to become perfect in 30 days. The goal is to stop reacting, because reaction is expensive. Reaction makes you feel behind even when you're not. Reaction turns money into a daily emotional battle. When money becomes emotional, you make worse decisions, not because you're careless, but because you're tired. Before we get into the plan, I want to give you one quick lens that will make the rest of this video click. Your bank account can be fine, and your experience of money can still be awful. The numbers are your financial reality. The stress you feel is your financial experience. And when those two don't match, you don't fix it by trying harder. You fix it by changing the structure that your brain has to live inside. All right, days 1 through 10 are about visibility. This is where most people want to skip ahead because it feels boring and because clarity can be uncomfortable. But visibility is the foundation. You cannot take control of what you don't see. Visibility does not mean tracking every category down to the penny. It means answering a few questions honestly and consistently. How much money comes in each month reliably? What are your fixed commitments that must be paid no matter what? And after all those are covered, what do you have left over? That last number is the most important number in your financial life. It's your margin. It's your breathing room. It's the space where savings, progress, and peace live. Most people do not know their margin. They know their income, they know their rent, they know their bills exist, but they don't know the true leftover number that tells them how much flexibility they actually have. Here's a simple example. 2 people who both earn $6,000 a month. Person A has $3,500 of fixed costs. Person B has $5,400 of fixed costs. Person A has room to breathe. Person B is living on the edge. Same income, completely different experiences. That's why advice that starts with income often misses the point. The experience is created by the structure. So in the first 10 days, I did a money inventory. That was intentionally simple. I listed every single monthly bill: rent or mortgage, car payment, insurance, minimum debt payments, subscription, childcare, anything that would keep showing up whether I felt ready or not. Then I wrote the due dates and the amounts. No shame, no judgment, just truth. Then I looked at my income the way a CFO looks at revenue. What is reliable versus what is variable? If you're salaried, that's easy. If you're a business owner, your income may be lumpy. In that case, you don't average your best month. You base your system on your conservative month. You build on what is repeatable, not what is hopeful. Now, at this point, a lot of people get overwhelmed because they're thinking, okay, but what about groceries, gas, random things, stuff that changes? Good. That's exactly why we start with fixed costs. Fixed costs tell you what you must cover to stay stable. Variable spending is important, but fixed costs determine whether your life has any flexibility at all. See, once I had fixed costs and reliable income, I calculated my margin. Reliable income minus fixed costs equals margin. And then I did one more step that is critical for visibility. I created a surprise list. This is where you write down the things that keep surprising you: car repairs, medical copays, gifts, School fees, travel, annual subscriptions that hit once a year and feel like an ambush. Most people call these unexpected, but they're truly not unexpected. They're just unplanned. Writing them down turns them from random attacks into known categories that you can prepare for. This is where people typically say, okay, I did the visibility thing and now I'm depressed. If that's you, hear me. Clarity is not condemnation. Clarity is leverage. You cannot fix what you refuse to face. And the discomfort you feel is not failure. It's your nervous system realizing it doesn't have to guess anymore. All right, days 11 through 20 are containment. This is where control actually starts to feel real. Containment is not the idea that money needs boundaries to feel safe. Most people keep all their money in one checking account, and then they try to manage life with constant decisions with that one checking account. Every purchase becomes a negotiation. Can I afford this? Should I do this? Will this mess me up? And because the money is all mixed together, the answer always feels unclear, which means spending always feels risky, which means stress stays active. Look, the big shift that I made was separating my money into purposes, not because it's trendy or the cool thing to do, but because it reduces anxiety. When money is separated, decisions get easier. When decisions get easier, consistency becomes possible. Here's the simplest version of containment that works for most people. One account for bills, one account for spending, and one account for savings or buffers. If you want to keep it even simpler, you can do bills and spending and treat savings as an automatic transfer to a separate place. The point is not the number of accounts. The point is separation. So here's what I did. I created a bills account and asked one question. What amount needs to land here every month so every fixed bill can be paid without stress? That number came straight from the visibility phase. If my fixed bills were $3,500, then the bills account needed to receive $3,500 per month. Not around that, not we'll see, that exact number. Then I created a spending account. This is where groceries, gas, eating out, Amazon, kid stuff, personal spending lives. This is also where most people feel guilty or out of control because spending is where life actually happens. So instead of trying to micromanage categories, I did something more sustainable. I created a safe spending amount. Safe spending is money you're allowed to spend without guilt or second guessing because it's already accounted for. It's not a free for all, it's permission inside a boundary. See, without safe spending, every purchase feels like you're doing something wrong. With safe spending, your brain relaxes because the system already said this is okay. Let's say after all of the fixed bills, I had $1,200 of margin. I decided intentionally how much of that margin was for progress and how much was for living. For example, $600 savings or debt, $600 for spending. The numbers will be different for everyone, but the principle is the same. Decide in advance what gets protected and what is safe. Now, if you're thinking, but I already tried budgeting and it didn't work, I want you to notice the difference. Budgeting often asks you to control every category. Containment asks you to create a structure so you don't have to make 1,000 micro decisions. It's not control through restriction, it's control through design. This is also where I used a simple rule that stopped lifestyle creep before it started. I called it the hold period. Anytime I wanted to upgrade a fixed cost, like a new car payment, a more expensive apartment, a new subscription bundle, I required a 60-day hold. Not because I'm moral, because excitement makes people commit prematurely. A hold period protects your future self from your present emotions. Now, another critical part of containment is what I call a buffer. A buffer is not a big emergency fund yet. It's the first layer of stability. It's that amount of cash that you keep from living paycheck to paycheck, even if you have a good income. For many people, the first buffer goal is $1,000. For others, it might be 1 month of expenses. The point is to create a small wall between you and chaos. So during days 11 to 20, I built the first buffer. And here's why that matters. When you have no buffer, every surprise becomes a crisis. When you have an even smaller buffer, surprises become inconveniences. And that single shift can change your nervous system. You stop feeling like you're constantly one event away from disaster. Now, this is where most people ask, what if my numbers don't allow for this? If your margin is small, containment still works. You just scale it down. Your bills account still gets funded first. Your spending account still has a safe amount, even if it's small, because guilt-based systems collapse. And your buffer still matters, even if it takes time. Containment is not about having a lot. It's about having clarity and boundaries. Okay, last phase, days 21 through 30 are all about automation. This is the phase that turns your system from something you manage into something that runs. Automation is not about being fancy. It's about removing decisions. Every decision you do not have to make is energy you get back. When your bills pay themselves, you stop checking your balance every single morning. When savings happen automatically, you stop relying on motivation. And when debt payments happen on schedule, progress becomes boring, and boring progress is the best kind of progress. Here's what I automated first. Fixed bills. I set everything to auto pay out of the bills account. Rent, utilities, insurance, minimum debt payments, subscriptions, all of it. Then I automated funding of the bills account. If I got paid every 2 weeks, I split the monthly bills in half and I transferred that amount into the bills account every single payday. If I got paid monthly, I transferred the full amount on payday. The mechanics don't matter as much as the principle. Bills get handled automatically, so you're not carrying those decisions in your head all month. Then I automated progress. This could be savings, investing, or debt payoff, depending on where you are. If you're in high interest debt, progress might mean paying extra toward the debt. If you're stable and debt is manageable, progress might mean building the 3-month buffer or starting automatic investing. The point is that progress happens before your spending has a chance to absorb it. And then I automated safe spending. This is a part most people skip, and it matters. I treated safe spending like a paycheck to myself, a weekly or bi-weekly transfer into the spending account that created a clear boundary. When the spending account was funded, I could spend from it without guilt. When it ran low, I naturally slowed down without a spreadsheet yelling at me. Now you might be thinking, doesn't this make life restrictive? Here's the truth. Chaos is restrictive. Uncertainty is restrictive. A system that reduces regret is freeing. The goal is not to control every single dollar. The goal is to stop money from controlling your emotions. So during days 21 to 30, I also added one small routine that kept the whole system healthy. A weekly money meeting. This is a 15-minute check-in once a week, same day and same time. You look at the 3 things: what got paid, what's coming up, and whether safe spending is on track. That's it. No shame, no deep dive, just a calm review so money doesn't become this scary thing that you avoid. I want to highlight something important here. Notice how little of this depends on motivation. That's on purpose. Motivation is unreliable. Life is unpredictable. Systems have to work on tired days, busy weeks, stressful seasons, and emotional moments. If your system only works when you're at your best, it will fail under normal life pressure. And by the end of 30 days, the biggest change was not my net worth or my bank account. The biggest change was the volume. The money, it got quieter in my head. I stopped checking my accounts constantly. I stopped feeling like every decision was risky. I knew what was handled. I knew what was safe. I knew what was protected. My nervous system finally got the one thing it wanted from the beginning: predictability. Now, I want to connect this back to something that matters, because a lot of you click this video because you make decent money and you still feel broke. In the video where I broke down that I feel broke feeling, I explain why your brain experiences money through safety and predictability, not totals. This 30-day reset is the practical version of that insight. It's how you turn that understanding into a system you can actually live inside. So if you're watching this and thinking, okay, I like the plan, but I still don't know why money feels heavy on me, go back to that video, because it will put language to what you've been feeling. And once you can name that feeling, you can build the structure that changes it. Because this is the truth most people never get told. Financial peace is not reserved for people with perfect numbers. It's available to people who build predictable systems. When the structure changes, the stress follows.